Hello and welcome back to another Toronto video. In today's one, we're the TMNT, the Archie Adventures, issue number 58. So yeah, this issue was quite disappointing to say the very least, just because in this issue we got to see Mikey thinking about when the Turtles were toddlers and all that kind of stuff, and in this universe they had red bandanas when they were younger, and they decided to use this to their advantage to try and trick Splinter into thinking that they got all perfect scores on all their tests. Meanwhile, trying to stop some villains from stealing a microchip for Shredder. So, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think that this issue is bad. I think it's quite cool to see them exploring like their younger lives, which is quite cool to see and how different it was compared to the show at the time. But at the same time, really, was this really the best way they could have gone around it? It's not bad, but I wish I would have stuck to more of the story kind of thing instead of just doing a flashback issue. Not bad, but by Christ, it could have been better. So yeah. Okay, so with the actual story itself, we do first start off with Mikey. He's been captured by the, I think it's the lifeguard and that kind of stuff. And now he's now about to be experimented on by this person. And you can see at the end of the issue, the person who's coming down has got his syringe out to try and inject to Mikey, and is ready to do it in the next issue. So at least there's some setup there. And I must admit, to give it some points, I mean, I will give him some credit here. They were going into detail about what Mikey can hear and all that kind of stuff, which I did find to be rather interesting with how he was interpreting things from his point of view, despite him being blind. I did find it to be rather interesting, and I would like to see a lot more of this kind of stuff explored throughout this issue, but unfortunately they decided to go in a different direction, which was not the best for this issue. So yeah, okay, so for the actual story itself, for the main bit, we do get to see a flashback to when Turtles were younger, and they are trying to learn how to be more invisible and that kind of stuff. However, this does eventually lead to the Turtles coming in contact with three crooks who are working for Shredder. And they do decide to actually take them down, and they do it quite easily as well. And you can see my Splinter, he's watching from a wall, well not wall, but like from a corner, and he's quite proud of how far they come in their training. So that's when the Turtles do decide to take things to the next level with how far they can push things just because Splinter doesn't know how to separate the Turtles because they will wear red bandanas. Despite the fact that, you know, all the Turtles have different voices, and all that kind of stuff, and different personalities, but no, he can't tell them apart, which is, oh boy, that is just bad parenting, yeah, yikes. But yeah, so either way, we do get to see on the next few pages how Turtles do, use this to advantage. Once they try to, get out of being in trouble for destroying Splinter's vase, however, this backfires on them, and this eventually leads to the Turtles all having to work together to basically pick up trash in the sewers, which, yeah, understandable. And then also we got another bit where we do get to see Turtles trying to do some tests, I should say, and they get the Turtles to swap who they are every time our Splinter gives out a test, so that way one Turtle does the tests for all of them, and it'll get perfect scores. Now this does work the first time, however this doesn't work the second time, and Splinter catches on to this and tries to throw in some discourse in between all the Turtles, which does somewhat work, so at least there's some good bits about that, but not the best. And yeah, and then after that, for the last remainder of the issue, we do get to see the crooks. They come back just because Shredder told them to find a chip, or otherwise they'll be killed or something along those kind of lines, which, yeah, sure, why not. And we do get to see in this bit here, I mean, it was decent for what they were trying to go for with the Turtles fighting these crooks. I mean, with what they had to work with these versions of the Turtles, with how old they are, it's, yeah, it was different. It was... I don't know, it didn't have all the engaging elements which, like, the other fights do have, with all the action and all kind of stuff, but in this one there's just, you know, a hit here and hit there, but it wasn't, like, a very exciting hit or anything like that. It was just, oh, you know, got hit by a stick. I know, you know, Donnie's whole stick and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't that entertaining here. And we do get to see him at one point trying to pretend to be demons and goblins and that kind of stuff with it, and... yeah, I mean, at least they leaned into the fun elements of this side of things, but again, it's not really that overly exciting. And yeah, so then after that, the Turtles do decide to take up the criminals up to the streets on like a minecart, which I did find it to be rather interesting and creative with how they try to do it, despite it being in the sewers, and yet they have mines and all that kind of stuff. Why not? And then after that, they decided to come up with a great way to try and get a Splinter to try and tell them apart by each having hats. And there was some other ideas like them being singers, which, oh boy, this is just so 80s with what they're trying to go for a band and the group dynamic and all that kind of stuff. And oh god, yeah, I'm so glad that a lot of this has changed throughout the years, and we've got what we told us that we know and love today. So yeah, but I mean, I'd say that overall for this issue, it's not like a bad issue. I feel like there's a lot of decent parts throughout this issue. We've seen the turtles being toddlers. Toddlers are always amazing to see, so that's really great to see as well. I mean, other than that, I feel like the only disappointing part about this issue is just the fact that it takes away from what could have been an interesting story with Mikey, like showing the whole process what was going through from his point of view, like the scrub and everything, which I think would have been like a really amazing and interesting story. However, with them doing it this way, it just feels so weird and off, despite the fact that this whole story with the like toddlers things doesn't really relate to like the current situation whatsoever. So I'm not too sure what their plan was to like tie it all in together, unless maybe it might be set up in like the next issue or something like that, which I doubt it. But at the same time, I hope they do a lot more than just, oh, remember that one cool time? Well, it doesn't like it doesn't affect our story, the main story whatsoever. Oh boy, but yeah. And from what I remember, there was like, I think there's like one more story with the Total Tots in this universe, which I'd say that going off of this story, I can't say that I'm overly looking forward to it all too much just because of this issue. But well, it might at least be a bit interesting. And I would also have to say that also with the red bandana thing, there was also like a nice touch and nod to the original comics, which was quite nice. I don't know how many people picked up on that at the time or even now, but it was nice. I would definitely have to say that it's still weird that they did it in this universe. I mean, especially when you think about it, when, you know, Martin had the full like color wheel and he goes all red with them, and then eventually it's like, ah, well, maybe I made a mistake. Like, I feel like he definitely should have chosen different colors then and there. But it is what it is. But it's a nice reference, but it's just a weird thing to include because of everything that happened like afterwards. But well, at least they still did something. I'm at least giving credit for that. So yeah, I guess. Oh boy. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this issue. Do you like it? Do you not? And yeah, that's the game for today, guys. It was please, I just grab that stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.